Dauntless Stark.
To another episode of Daunt Reacts. This was a fan-submitted episode. If you would like to submit any kind of video for me to react to, come over to the stream and redeem it through the channel points. It's free of charge. All I need is your time. So let's get into it. Debunking every logical anti-LGBT argument by Stefarino. Let's get into it.
Last day of Pride Month. I decided I should go over every... Since this is the last day of Pride Month, I decided I should go over every logical...
It's a little bit late. It's like the first week of August.
This series is going to be a two-parter. The first one is for the lesbians, gays, and bisexuals, while the second one would be for trans people, as they usually have different arguments.
Might as well, Red.
Now, you might be wondering why I only included logical arguments. For one, I'm not too immersed in Bible lore. But for two, religious arguments pretty much boil down to either, actually in verse 7, chapter 12 of my 3,000-year-old book, it says yada yada yada, or it's just one of these arguments rewritten to be a bit more mystical.
These are kind of lame.
These are the main logical arguments I collected from browsing the internet and just existing as a queer man. Obviously, there's more of them out there, but from what I've seen, these are the most common, and they also hold up to logical scrutiny the best. Let me clarify, they hold up to scrutiny the best, not that they hold up at all. The most common argument I've heard is that homosexuality is unnatural, therefore it is bad and gay.
So this individual's probably getting into it, but it's not. There's plenty of animals in the nature that seem to form homosexual relationships. Plenty of fish and mammals alike. Monkeys are like one of the biggest like animals that we know of, that they just straight up they just fuck other dudes. Like, it's male on male for the lot in the animal kingdom, so unnatural doesn't make any sense.
Now, this argument has been beaten like a dead horse already, but let's quickly go over it. There are 1,500 species of documented same-sex relationships, and interestingly enough, it's more common in primates, so the apple doesn't fall too far.
There you go, right? There you go.
The funny thing is, when homophobes get told that, they'll turn around and say, oh, but animals eating their babies is natural too. Should that be allowed as well? I mean, heterosexuality is also natural, so where do we go from here? Should we ban heterosexual? I
mean, moving the goalpost a little bit, but like, no. But, you know, at the same time, though, say you have twins, there's a good chance that one of your babies eats the other baby in utero. That's technically what that is. It happens all the time. It's a natural aspect of the animal kingdom.
As well? Obviously, no, because this can be explained by the naturalistic fallacy, where just because something is natural doesn't make it good.
This is also true. A natural disaster is still a disaster.
Unnatural doesn't make it bad.
That's also true. Vaccines are not natural, but they're very good.
For instance, most people agree that modern, artificially made medicine
is good. I'm ahead of this guy.
Most people. And most people agree that cancer is bad, despite it being a naturally occurring disease.
This is true.
The point is, people who say homosexuality is unnatural, therefore it is bad, is just factually wrong.
I agree.
And even if only humans exhibit gay behaviors, they would still be wrong, as being natural doesn't mean good or bad. Moving on, another common argument is that if we tolerate gay marriage, then is underage or incest marriage going to be next? Now, this is a weird argument from bigots, because I thought you guys want that to happen. Well, regardless, this is just a slippery slope fallacy, and it's not even a good one.
Yeah, and you know what? If we're being honest, if you're not breeding, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. Just keep it on the down low. Don't tell anyone, and you're good to go.
Expand on this. What is similar about...
Do I recommend it? No, I shouldn't say I recommend it, but I'm not going to stop people that too.
They're both consenting, and they're not related by blood. Child marriage involves one of them being a child and is unable to consent. Bestiality involves one of them being an animal and also unable to consent. And incest involves one of them being related by blood with dubious...
You know what? Let's go with all of this.
All these relationships are missing one or more criteria of a safe and equal relationship. It's also interesting that these arguments were once used in banning interracial marriages.
Race mixing was
something
a bad
to think about,
thing.
perhaps.
Or like it was treated,
admittedly a little bit religious, but
it
goes
was
something
seen
like
to
this.
be bad.
God or evolution gave you the ability to produce children, so you shouldn't waste your purpose. I mean,
because adoption's totally never an option, and adoption doesn't exist at all.
That's not even a homophobic argument. If anything, shouldn't that apply far more to straight people? And it's just a dumb argument in general.
This is true.
Because nature has given us a lot of abilities that 99% of people just let go to waste. For instance, did you know that humans have some of the best long-distance running ability out of all animals?
That's how we can hunt, like gazelles and stuff.
And because of the way our bodies are balanced, as well as our hip and shoulder mobility, we are the best at throwing shit really hard at things. So by this argument,
Although this is true, the human body is flawed. There is very few like perfect designs in animal kingdom. If you want perfection, if you want like perfection, you need to look towards more like the insect kingdom. But yeah, we're natural hunters. We're natural predators. But the human body is ultimately designed. So although we are good at long distance, we're not good at sustainable long distance.
If you're not a professional marathon runner or javelin thrower, you're just wasting your purpose, I guess. The fourth argument is that if everyone were gay, no one can give birth, thus humanity would end.
Although true, that's never going to happen.
Ignoring the fact that gay people can give birth, honestly, that's a really good argument. I spent hours trying to debunk this, but I just can't. Which is why I decided that every doctor should be imprisoned. Because if everyone is a doctor,
but
there
also,
would be no farmers to produce
why
food,
would everybody
and we would
be
all
gay?
starve to death. Therefore, every doctor should be sent
Why
to
would
jail
that
for
be a
trying to
thing?
destroy society. One argument related to that is being gay means you can't continue your bloodline. Which is true if you ignore the fact that gay...
Again, adoption exists. Bloodline, for the most part, only fixates on the name, not the actual genetics. And it doesn't truly matter. Like, not really. Like, I have nephews. My bloodline will continue. I don't need my bloodline to continue. At least not right now.
People can give birth, gay people can have siblings, a gay person might be infertile, so it wouldn't even matter anyways. And that argument applies
But
to
yeah, there's
straight
also
people as
like,
well.
yeah, there's donor
It's also
insemination
just
too.
not a
That
good
works.
argument. Like, listen, bro, you are not living in Westeros. Your bloodline isn't special. You're not Robert Baratheon. Stop it. And it raises the question, sure, you continue
no
your
incest
bloodline,
babies.
But what if your kids don't want to? What then? Are you going to disown them? Force them to give birth? Like, there's not much long-term thinking here. And counter-argument saying, my bloodline ends with me, is very cool, so consider that. Speaking of children, another argument that homophobes have is homosexual parents are bad. Their kids will grow up to be miserable and gay themselves. Now, this argument has not only been scientifically proven wrong, but
There's nothing to
even
really say
LGBT
there.
allies themselves
Because my
show the
parents were not
actual
gay, like how I
findings
think
of
they are.
these studies. And that's the fact that not only are LGBT parents just as good as straight parents, but they are in fact even better. And yes, a large part of that is because LGBT parents generally adopt or give birth to their kids when they are financially stable enough to do so.
There's also other reasons for this too. In order to reach the criteria of adoption, normally you do need to be pretty well off already. So a lot of same-sex couples that do adopt are typically of those in like a highly regarded profession, like lawyer or like a physician, for example, where they actually have the earnings for the state to be like, okay, this is the gay, they can actually raise this kid with flying colors. It's not a perfect system, but like that also does increase the odds as well. Because like a family that can't really give their kid everything they need, rather a family that can give them everything they need, yeah, there's going to be some performance differences there, unfortunately. But I don't know if he's going to get into that. But statistically, yes, the same-sex couple is typically more financially well off if they adopt, because in order to adopt, they need to be.
So, making them richer. And outside of trans couples, it's impossible for homosexual parents to accidentally have a child. So there's also the fact that every child a gay parent wants,
despite as much as they may want.
But even when these external factors are considered, such as economic standing, education, and environment, LGBT parents still have better outcomes for their kids.
Yes.
Looking at the column 1, without taking any variables into account, kids raised by same-sex parents do 0.106 standard deviations better than average. And in column
I'm not
5,
sure
when
what
these
this statistic
variables are
means.
roughly matched, they do even better at 0.147 standard deviations higher.
I don't know what that.
40% of homeless youth are.
I'm not aware of what
LGBT,
that statistic
and
means.
that LGBT kids are 120% more likely to end up homeless compared to hetero kids.
Yes.
So if every child were
Because exclusively due to ostracization from family and community. It's sad. It's really shitty. But like, yes. So if you have 15 people in a room, 12 of them will have bad home experiences. It's really bad.
To be raised by LGBT couples,
for every
that would raise
15,
almost
there'll be
40%
12
of homeless kids out there in the streets. Also, it's funny that homophobes never argue for banning single parents for having kids, because there is definitely evidence that children of single parents are worse off compared to two parents.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to stop single people from having kids, don't get me wrong, but it is weird that homophobes focus on the group that has the best outcome for kids instead of the group that has the worst. And
Yes.
there's also fear
And the reason why is what I said earlier. It's because usually in order to get the kid, you kind of need to prove to the government that you are financially stable. I'm not saying it's a fair or even system. I'm not even saying that this statistic is relatively fair. It's just the reality of how it works.
that kids with queer parents will end up queer themselves. Well, if that's true, who cares? Unless you think being queer is a bad thing. I mean, if you do,
Right? Obviously, there is a lot of bad eggs, because one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people use is like, oh, they're just going to raise the kid just to rape the kid. And it's like, that's really shitty. And unfortunately, there have been cases where that does happen, and it's heartbreaking. And obviously, yes, I don't want that to be the fate of everyone. But like, that isn't the fate of everyone. And also, it works on both ends of the fences as well. It's not exactly a fun statistic to bring up, but, just because one person does it, that doesn't mean that all people do it,
I hope you change your mind after this video. But that aside, the existence of LGBT people throughout history is a direct contradiction to that.
I believe that gentleman in the top left corner, I believe that is the man that basically won World War II. Is that, I forget his name, Alan Turing? That's the man that basically created the computer. I'm pretty sure.
Argument. Because of the sexuality of the parents determines the sexuality of the
Which his story is really sad and really fucked up. But if it weren't for him, there's a good chance the West would not have beaten Germany in World War II.
child, we would all be straight. Won't somebody please think of the children? The party that wants to bring back child labor says.
Yeah.
This argument is also pretty malicious, as it's generally not stated to be outright homophobic. I mean, it is, but at first glance, it doesn't seem too overt.
It's
It usually
easily
goes something like
weaponizable
this.
to be whatever you
I don't
want.
mind gay people, but not in front of the kids. Or, I don't care what you do in bed, but leave the kids out of it. And it's just someone wearing a pride pin. This is particularly funny when you consider how freaky straight people can be. I guess to them,
Jesus.
adult stuff around kids is fine as long as it's hetero. It's just massively.
Yeah, the Hooters one is
and the amount
particularly
of
really
kids
bad.
media that shows heterosexuality and how freely heterosexual
Yeah,
adults can talk about their
I fully
quote-unquote
agree.
sexuality. around
It's
kids
it's
in
a
right
weaponized
raised
double
eyebrow,
standard.
But a woman says
1000%.
she has a wife once and now she's a predator.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. Being LGBT is trendy is one of the more recent arguments I've heard, and from a glance, it is weird how everyone is LGBT all of a sudden, right?
I think it's because people are a lot more comfortable with today's zeitgeist to be open, because there's actual communities now. This all started when I was around high school, because before I was in high school, it was very taboo, and it's just like, yeah, you're bad if you're gay. Like, that's no adult deliberately told us that, but that was just like the community zeitgeist, right? But nowadays, I think it's just because there's a lot more openness and a lot more freedom there. I wouldn't be surprised if half the people I grew up with turned out to be gay like me. It's just how it is. But it's literally, it seems trendy because of how accessible and how welcoming it is compared to what it was before. So yeah, no shit. It's the same thing as the phrase of like autism didn't used to exist back in the day. Motherfucker, oh, it did. You just didn't care enough to see the signs, and the medical institution didn't care enough to look at it that deeply. But it was there.
Like, look at this graph. Isn't that concerning? Listen, the explanation is really simple. As society progresses, the discriminatory laws around being queer and the general perception of being LGBT improves. Queer people can safely be visibly queer, which makes it look like there's a sudden increase in the LGBT population.
Perfect.
When they've been there this whole time.
Exactly.
It's just now that they aren't afraid of being visible or less afraid.
Exactly.
We're still far from perfect, even now. And for those who aren't satisfied with that answer, look at this graph for left-handed people, which shows a similar trend. And I know someone's gonna say, oh, but the increase in the LGBT
I'm left-handed.
population is far greater. See? That's proof this is a trend. If you just think about it for a second, there's another obvious explanation. While there's definitely prejudice against being left-handed, don't get me wrong, I think it's fair
I
to
never
say
dealt with that.
the prejudice
I'm not
people
that
have against
old.
the LGBT is far greater. For instance, correct me if I'm mistaken, but there aren't any laws stating left-handed people can be legally murdered. There are for
No.
gay and trans people. So of course the increase is going to be much greater. Also, even if becoming LGBT has become trendy, why is that a problem anyways? It's really only a problem if you think being queer is
I mean,
bad
maybe
in
in
the first
America.
place. It's not even an argument if used alone. Now, this argument is one of the oldest, and has also been beaten like a dead horse already. But I actually hate the way people respond to the being gay is just a choice.
Look, okay, I have a lot of my own personal views on this. I'm gonna let him talk, and then I'm gonna chime in on my personal.
Because people, even well-intentioned allies, will usually say you are born gay. And while that is true for some people, it does throw bisexual people like me under the bus.
Okay, good. He is gonna
so
he is gonna talk about it.
Dating the opposite gender.
Exactly, because that's that. So obviously, I have decided to lean towards a certain way, but I was born bisexual, if you want to put it that way. But over experiences that I've encountered and tastes that I've acquired, obviously I have leaned towards a certain direction. But also, I have never really liked the idea that fate has anything to do with who you are. You are born to be a specific person no matter what. I don't like that idea. I don't love that I side with the gay as being a choice, because that's not how I feel, because that's obviously a very weaponizable thing. But I also don't like you're born being something, because that's too... You don't have any control with it no matter what. And I don't inherently think that to be a good thing personally. So it's a very complicated thing where I agree and disagree on both aspects of the fence.
And for the bisexuals who currently have same-sex partners, they should what? Just disappear?
Yeah.
I think the real retort for the choice argument is, so what? So what if it's a choice? That doesn't explain
dude,
why it's a bad thing.
Okay, I love this dude. I like how this guy talks. Exactly. I feel the exact same way. Because I can't really say one side or the other, because one side I don't believe and the other side is so easily weaponizable, even though in my own worldview, it is kind of like how I see things to make sense for myself. Obviously, I'm not speaking on behalf of everyone, but I like...
A couple of these arguments
this is a rad
in
lad.
that respect. Like the LGBT trend
I don't mean to
argument,
assume, I'm just
the
assuming
choice
he's a lad.
argument, the kids will grow up gay argument. All of these are non-arguments. In a vacuum, there is nothing negative about these things. Like, replace LGBT with, I don't know, milkshakes. Drinking milkshakes is just a choice. Drinking milkshakes are trendy now, or kids who grow up in a milkshake drinking household will drink milkshakes when they grow up. Like, without all the other anti-LGBT arguments, these phrases are meaningless. And considering that all the other homophobic arguments don't hold water in the first place, I guess they kind of are. And for my lesbian viewers out there, don't worry, I got your back. Because a common argument against lesbians specifically is that they have a higher intimate partner violence rate, or IPV, compared to hetero women.
Right. Obviously, I don't know the exact statistic, but there is also the statistic that they are more... I'm going to heavily quotation this. There is the statistic that it's something like 70% of all same-sex female relationships end in divorce or splitting up. It's something like that. I don't know how much I want to believe this statistics, even if it's... I don't even know how it's true. Or if it's true, but I'm curious what he has to say about this.
So this fact originates from a 2010 CDC study on IPV, and from a...
Oh, and by the way, it doesn't... Okay, with violence, it sucks. But if you're just splitting up, if you just break up, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no statistic that's going to make that a negative thing. You just move on and go for it. But if it's for violence, obviously it's extremely different.
Quick glance, it does appear to be true. Lesbians experience 44% of IPV, while hetero women experience only...
So, okay, my first thought is that maybe the statistics are bigger because there's lesser of them, so the statistic pool, thus being smaller, is larger. For example, if you have 2 apples, you can say that I have 100% apples. You remove one of those apples, you now have 50%, right? That statistic is insane. Now, if you have 100 apples and you get rid of 20 apples, you now have 80% apples. Like the bigger the data pool, the smaller the statistic. I'm curious if that's where this is going to go.
35%. So boom, case closed, right? Yuri is now illegal. But like every homophobic argument before, it quickly falls apart when you do more than just a quick glance. Firstly, in a lesbian relationship, there are 2 lesbians. Shocking, I know. But in a heterosexual relationship, there's a woman and a man. I think you're starting to see where I'm going with this. If lesbian A or lesbian B gets abused, they both get put into one category. However, if a hetero woman gets
Okay.
abused, she gets put in one category, while the man gets put in another. So we're comparing
So
the
a
statistics
little
of
bit,
those
not
people
exactly
in a
what I was
lesbian
thinking,
relationship
but
versus
similar
one
to what
person
I
in a
was
hetero
referring to.
relationship. This diagram looks so unhinged, by the way. Getting back on track, in order for this comparison to be fair, we need to take into account the abuse heterosexual men experience, both in this video and in real life too, I hope. By doing that, lesbians still have a 44% IPV chance, while a heterosexual person would have a 64% IPV chance.
Damn. Okay.
Now, not only is 64 a bigger number than 44,
It's an extra
there's
20%.
more. Because of the patriarchy, heteronormativity, and all that other stuff, it's pretty common for a lesbian to be in a relationship with a man before she figures herself out. So,
Sure.
how much does this impact the data? Well,
Oh,
from the same
I
study,
see.
2/3 of lesbians experience IPV exclusively by another woman. Therefore, the actual IPV rate of a lesbian by another woman is 30%. Remember, this data says the lifetime abuse from an intimate partner. It never states a gender.
I didn't
But
even
the fact
catch
that
that
bisexual
either.
isn't separated to male and female partners makes it clear that this data shows the lifetime abuse rate from an intimate partner of any gender. I hope this myth can finally go away, but I doubt it. Gay men still have the lowest IPV rate though, so I guess they're just built different. Another
Well, because you talk shit, you don't want to get hit. Look, not to be misogynist or misandrist, but like, look, I don't want to get into a fight with another guy, especially not my partner or anyone for that matter. You know, some people are a little bit more free-willed on being spicy than I am. That's all.
argument that I'm guessing used to be a lot stronger, but now has aged pretty terribly, is that a small amount of people are LGBT. So why should we care about them?
What the
Maybe
fuck?
back then when the
What does that
LGBT
mean?
population was only 2 to 3%, this argument looks
Remember when I said earlier in the stream that like people in general just don't have good ethics anymore? Why should we care about this small group of people? Because they're a small group of people.
better.
The fuck you talking
But now
about?
with estimates being from 10% to as high as 20%,
I don't know about you, but I was raised to protect the little guys.
yeah, it just doesn't hold. But even if the LGBT population is only 3%, I like to believe that people are adaptable and are good enough at multitasking
Yeah.
to accommodate more than just the majority.
This
We
is
can do
also
it
true.
with people who require wheelchairs or people who are blind, and those are far less in numbers compared to LGBT people. And it's not like LGBT people need special accommodation anyways.
Yeah,
No,
not really.
We just want the same rights as you, and not to be called slurs. Is that really too much to ask for?
Just leave it right.
So, yeah, that's all the arguments that I have gathered and debunked, I hope. I can only be optimistic that I at least convince one homophobe out there to, at the minimum, start questioning their beliefs.
Hey,
I'll
fingers
also
crossed, my
put
dude.
some of my sources in the description if I remember to. Well, that's the end of the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
Yeah, everyone, subscribe and comment to Sifarino. Yeah, he did pretty good shit. I really like how, I kind of like how we're on the same brainwaves with a lot of them, you know? The statistic one kind of threw me for a loop, but that's because I didn't read it properly. But yeah, this is all the time I have for this episode, so thank you everybody for watching. Hope you had a wonderful time. Hope you have a wonderful time. Until next time we meet, hope you all have a fucking day. Peace.